Okay, hello. Good to see everyone. I am going to invite Izzy. Five.
Good.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. So everyone who's like just joining on, we kind of had like a little bit of a mix up. So I basically most of the time run off of Pacific time and Eastern time, and that's kind of how I gauge time zones. But Izzy is on Mountain Time. So we were getting ready, and I was like, I usually do just like kind of an overview if there's anything like they want to make sure we include or don't include or something like that. And she was like, "Oh, are we not? Is it not 6:30 or is it not 7:30 right now?" And I was like, "No, it's 6:30." So we were on different time zones, so kind of early, but I wanted to make sure I got in with Izzy and we could talk about things before we have to get ready for the week. And she has a really big next month getting scheduled. So this is Izzy Veal, which I feel like is perfect for bodybuilding. You're like already a slice of meat, you know? And then we basically met at in San Diego at a competition where she won her class and she looked absolutely phenomenal. And then we just kind of kept up through social media, and she is getting ready for the Arnold, which is one of the biggest bodybuilding competitions there are throughout the year, and hopefully be able to get her pro card there. So hi everyone for joining. Thank you guys for joining, and sorry for the change in time. So Izzy, hi. Do you want to like say a little bit about yourself and just kind of walk
Yeah,
people
so
through
I go to GCU
what you have been
in
doing so
Arizona.
far?
I'm studying physical education here, and basically my life is just school, work, and bodybuilding. Bodybuilding takes up a ton of my time, but so it's basically me. So I'm 20.
How old are you? I'm 20 years old, and I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to look at her profile yet, but
Thanks, girl.
she's pretty hardcore and amazing. So she looks incredible. She has like a good, which something that I'm not sure if you guys realize, but like when you look at competitors, there's always like muscle maturity that you look at, and it's hard for you to be able to get that. It takes a lot of time and a lot of years and a lot of dedication to be able to develop a lot of muscle mass and maturity. And if you are looking for kind of like what that means, like if you look at some of the pros and then you look at some of the amateurs, you can actually usually tell. But something that's really amazing about Izzy is she has a good amount of muscle maturity, in my opinion. Like she's getting there and like kind of like gaining like speed in terms of that momentum towards that, versus someone who, you know, like maybe is newer to the sport and you can tell they got super lean, but they don't have the density yet. So I think that's something that I really appreciate about you being 20 years old, only doing 2 seasons of
So sweet.
competing, and then looking the way that you do. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, no, great. And you said GCU, so
Grand Canyon
which
University.
that's like the
So
abbreviation,
it's a
but where do you
private
like what's the
Christian
full name?
college.
Okay. Hmm.
Just two.
And then you're getting ready. How many shows have you done so far? Two
No, the other one
shows.
was
And then have they both been muscle contests or
I can't
no?
even think of it what it was. It was in Arizona. Like I can't remember. It wasn't muscle contest.
I I did
Was
an
it in
Arizona
Chandler?
one too, and uh
Oh wait,
oh my
it
gosh,
was
no,
Wings
it
of
wasn't.
Strength.
Was it
Wings of
Chandler?
Strength.
They're not around anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you did Wednesday. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I didn't do that one. I can't remember which one
Uh,
I did, but
there
so what did you think about
was
Wings of Strength
way more people at
compared to a
muscle
muscle
contest for
contest?
sure. Like way more competitors. But they were both good. But with Wings of Strength, I definitely, well, it being my first comp plus I had a different coach then. I had no idea what I was doing. She didn't prepare me well, so it really just did not go very well. She so she was like my posing coach as well, and literally she had us like for our posing practice, she had us just like in a line, and she said, "Okay, go ahead, whatever feels natural." That's all she told us. And so like we would go up and like just like do our own
No.
thing. And then she wouldn't correct anything. And so I had this idea that, oh, I'm just supposed to go up there and do whatever feels natural. And I'm like, okay, so like I'm literally
It's
on
not
stage not
natural.
knowing what the heck I'm doing. And then like afterwards I'm like, oh, like shit, like I didn't know how to pose. I didn't know how to do anything. So that was my first show experience, and it did not go very, very well. But
At least you picked a good show. Like that was like gave you a good gauge of what to expect in terms of competition because Wings of Strength are good. And then I would say Muscle Contest is really great too because at least the shows I've been to for Muscle Contest in the past, like um, they're always very well put together and well put on. I
yeah.
agree. That was the biggest muscle contest show I've been to. There was like over 400 competitors at that show. And so that was complete chaos, which
Oh,
just
hey,
also
coach.
speaks to you
Love you
and
too.
you winning your class, which is awesome.
Uh, well, it's Team Pro Ops that commented.
Which one's your coach? And then I saw uh, Leryo. I'm not sure how to say that. Ryo? And he's a beast, which I totally agree. She is a beast. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Okay, so
it.
after I used to play
So what
three
got you
sports
into
in high school,
competing?
and then when that was over, well, I played soccer in college too for a little bit.
Which sports
And then I played
were they?
hockey and volleyball. But like after they were done, I was like, now what do I do with my life? Like I didn't really know what to do. And then I back home there's a gym, and I just started going, not knowing what I was doing, just like going in there, like doing some hit, some stuff like that. And the owner is a bodybuilder, and he came up to me, he's like, "You need to compete." I'm like, "What's that?" And so like over like a months and months, he like convinced me to like look into it. So then that's kind of what got me into it, and then started to figure out like actually what lifting and stuff was. But then I found a coach in Arizona, and yeah, that's how I got it. Yeah,
So
Ben.
your coach now, is he, it's a he?
No,
Okay.
he's in,
Ben, is
I
he in
don't even
Arizona or
know.
where is he located?
I think he's in Tennessee. Hey, Ben.
He kind of travels all over or something
Where's
like
that?
that. Where are you located? Um, how did you choose? Because you had a different coach in the beginning,
Yeah,
and then
so
how did you make the
basically my
change to
coach
choose a different coach,
before,
and what was like the deciding
she,
factor for that?
well, here's just like an example of like how bad she was. We literally had like, we had like 8 girls that would all train together. She gave up every single one of us. There was even like a girl that was like 6 feet. Every single one of us got the same meal plan. Like she just, and that could have been like a red flag in my head, but I didn't
Oh,
really
oh my
know.
gosh, yeah,
Oh,
that's bad.
Kentucky. He's from Kentucky. Why did I think he was from Tennessee? Okay. Um,
Con-
what was I saying? Oh, yeah. And it
So
was
she gave
like
everyone the
the
same meal,
most
even
minimal
someone who was the
food like
six
you could
feet.
think of, like for months. Like I was depleted for months doing so much cardio. I literally felt like a walking corpse. Like I basically like 60 minutes every day, but like
How
on
much
like
cardio were
literally
you
no
doing?
food, no carbs, no like my training sessions, I it was just I felt like I was gonna pass out like every single, and that was like months out. So like it was just prolonged, and I lost like a shit ton of muscle. Like it just um, just wasn't good. So then after that, I just like stopped for a while. I didn't really like think I was gonna do another comp, and then I
What made you decide to do one? If you didn't have a good experience the first time,
honestly,
like what made you decide to do another one?
I don't know. I was just like still in the gym, and I just missed like being on stage, and then um, started looking for another coach. And then Leroy, I followed. And so that on Instagram, we followed each other. And I was like, oh, he looks really good. So I was like, looked at his bio and saw his coach. And so then I DM'd Ben. And then we had like a FaceTime consult. And I was like, okay, I'm joining the team. And it's been so awesome with him, honestly. I don't feel depleted. Like, it's awesome.
And what makes you like, what does he do,
I
or
get
what are the
to
things that
eat
you guys do so
food.
that way you don't feel depleted all the time?
um,
Like, do you guys
Not
do regular
regularly.
cheat meals or no?
I think I've had like four, like throughout all of working with him, 4 or 5. But
Mhm.
um, but yeah.
Because I would say, like, at least the difference between like the coaches that I've worked with in the past and then my current coach now, like, that's kind of the thing that we've implemented quite a
Yeah.
bit is that the cardio doesn't always stay the same. Like, it does fluctuate based on the goals. And like, then we do cheat meals or refeed feeds, however you want to say it, like every once in a while to kind of like keep your metabolism in a good place and like
Yes, I
all that kind
do.
of. Izzy doesn't like cheat meals. You don't like cheat meals? What
Oh,
the heck?
high carb
Do
days.
refeeds twice
Yeah.
a week. Okay. 2 refeeds a week. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then on glutes, that totally makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So like that's kind of the thing that's like I think personally really good for your metabolism and then also just good for you to like help you stay focused towards your goals and not kind of on the
Mm-hmm. For sure.
same
Yeah.
plan that's gonna
Also,
like
Ben
what you
is
were
a
saying deplete
great
you.
posing coach, and now I actually know like what I'm doing. Where before I literally had no idea. So, um, I
How
don't
did
know.
you
He
guys pick
called me
up
one day.
Arnold?
He's like, "You're 10 weeks out." I'm like, "From what?" He's like, "Amateur." I'm like, "All right." So he kind of, I don't know. How'd you pick it, coach?
We'll see
Nope.
what he says. Because the
I'm
Arnold is a
scared.
really big competition. Have you ever been to it before? It's okay. It's okay to be scared, I think. Sometimes, like, just being scared for you, does that create like some nervous but good energy or no? Tell her about what happens
Oh,
when I tell
okay.
you to
Honesty
have
time
food off
is
your
I
plan.
have struggled with like like a binge eating disorder, and honestly, a lot of it came from
Mm-hmm.
like my first show afterwards. It did um like after that, like the whole summer I battled an eating disorder, and it's gotten a lot better. And um yeah, so when I go off plan, sometimes that kind of flares up again. So that's like why I like refeeds and not cheat meals as much, just because yeah.
Oh, I see. How do you think that started?
Um,
Like that was like
yes,
after
as
your
a
first
kid,
competition? Did you
I
ever have
think
anything like that
it
before?
came from some past trauma in my past, and that's yeah. So I've kind of battled it my whole life, but I didn't really.
Mm-hmm.
It just got really bad after my first comp. Mhm.
Okay. And then like what did it, and you can not answer anything that you don't feel comfortable with. Totally fine. But what did it look like
Um,
before
I
you
think that
competed and then
before I
after you
competed,
competed?
I didn't think it was that much of an issue. And like I didn't really see what I was doing, if that makes sense, and how I was like coping with things. And then I
Yeah.
think after doing a show, it kind of brought
Yeah.
awareness to like, oh, I do have a problem, if that makes sense. Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, it was just like more pronounced in that way. And you said like deal with things. Like, do you mean
Um,
like stressful
it
things or emotional
started
things or
from
like
dealing
what do you
with
mean by
something that happened
dealing?
to me in the past, and I think that over time it just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, like stressful, like it just kind of carried into like my other parts of my life because it like yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, I think that makes sense. Everyone goes through something, like whether you want to believe it or not, like everyone goes through something that's stressful or traumatic or difficult in their life. And everyone's like degree of what that means for them is different. It's just, it's person to person.
Mhm.
So it's all about, I think, like how you deal with it and how you move forward from it. So, like, for you, being more structured seems to be more helpful for you. And then having
Mhm.
like more
Yeah.
refeeds as opposed to cheat meals is like more helpful for you to stay focused, which whatever works for an individual is like what's important. But then the way that you handle like stress and stuff like that,
Um,
how is it
I
that you
think
handle
that my
stress
relationship
now
with
or difficult
God
times
has
versus
like
before?
grown like so much just being in college, and it's like the center of my life right now. So like um stressful times and stressful even like through prep,
Mm-hmm.
like God's what gets me through. Like he's my strength, he's everything. So just leaning on him for support just gets me through hard times.
Do you consider yourself, like when you say God, do you consider yourself a religious
I'm a
person or
Christian.
is
I
it like
wouldn't say,
more
I
spiritual or
hate
faith
using the
or how
term
would you
religious
describe that?
because it's more of a personal relationship with Christ, um, and not just like
Mm-hmm.
a religion, but if that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Is there a particular way that like you practice your faith? Like, is it going to
Um,
church or is it like
honestly, like
reading or is
yes,
it
going
like
to
what
church,
do you
reading my
think it is?
Bible, worshiping, but it's really like just that relationship with God of like talking through to him throughout the day. Like he's just like he's my best friend, but also like my father, my strength, my support, my everything. So,
Hmm. So with like having that relationship when you have difficult times or you have something that you're struggling with, whether it's prep or whether it's like staying on meal plan or like kind of managing that or stress or school or whatever, is it just a
um,
conversation or is it like
praying,
solitude or like what
conversation,
is
but
it that
also
you actually
like
do?
God just gives a crazy amount of peace in if you ask for it. And so like one of the things I like to do is just turn some worship music on when I'm stressed and just sit in his presence and just like feel his presence and his peace. So that's yeah.
That's good. I mean, everyone has like a way of dealing with things, and I think regardless of whether you have like a specific religion, most people can't deny that there's lots of things in the world that we don't
Yeah.
understand or don't know, and we don't have necessarily like reasons for. So like believing something in outside of ourselves or finding a way
Mm-hmm.
to have like a spiritual practice, I think is important for anyone. So if that means like your Christianity
Mm-hmm.
and God for you
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, and like that helps you get through, I think that's awesome. Do you think now, I think a lot of people would make an argument, and I've even heard of this like before
Mm-hmm.
too. So like you are choosing bikini bodybuilding, right? Like, so that's like you're in a sparkly bikini and you're on stage and like,
Not the
you
most
know, we
modest.
say that it's the micro cut, but most people would be like it's a thong. So it's not the most modest. And you're on stage and you do these poses, and those aren't the most modest either. So what is it that
I
you
would say
say like
that
in
honestly, I
that kind of
don't
response?
like view bodybuilding as being sexualized because it's like honestly like all I see on stage is hard work and I see um what is the word? Just a physique, not a sexualized physique. You know, you see like obviously we're all glammed out and stuff, but at the same time like I just feel like all you see is hard work. So that's my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. So not so much as like, oh, I'm looking like hot or sexy or whatever, but
Yeah.
like I'm working hard towards like a physique that I'm proud of, essentially. Is this last show like the
No,
most proud of your physique,
probably
or was
this
there
last
like
show.
another
Yeah.
time that you were like felt like you looked better? Yeah. Um, you like went for the overall win, which is pretty amazing. And
Uh-huh.
I thought for a second you were gonna get it, and then this other girl ended up getting it. Um, is there anything that you're doing different for this upcoming show for the Arnold? Because it's a really big show, and in order to get your pro card, you have to like basically win the whole thing. So is there anything
Well,
that you're
I
doing
wouldn't say I
differently
didn't
going into the show that
before,
you
but
didn't
we're
before?
just like this prep, we've just been working on like building my shoulders and glutes more. And I think we have done that. So,
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I mean, I think that
yeah.
definitely like it's hard to, you know, more food, less cardio. Like that's definitely a good way to go into a show if you can handle it for sure. That's kind of the benefit of like being able to like
Mhm.
reverse into another show is like you're already pretty much there as long as you stay on point. Starting point was so much better. Totally agree. Is there like reversing into the show or, you know, doing the refeeds? Is there any, are there still like any times that you struggle with that or
Yeah,
that
I
you've
would
had
say
like little
yes,
hiccups
especially with
or
like we
bumps
brought up
that
like I
had
had a
come up?
couple like cheat meals this prep and yeah, that's so I kind of hiccuped there with like the binging afterwards. But we're back on plan, so it's all
Mm-hmm.
good. Just a little hiccup, just move on.
Mm-hmm. For your like for that kind of you know, binging eating that you struggle with, like is there other kind of tactics that you're using
Um,
besides the plan to kind of help you through
I
that?
journal a lot. So like every morning I'll journal and read like my Bible or a book. So that helped just to like put my thoughts down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, is it
I
just
use
like
like
random thoughts
journaling
or is it specifically
like
guided
a
towards
prayer
certain?
journal. So it's like I'm talking to God like as I'm writing. So just like anything, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're in the moment, like if you're in the moment where you have like an urge to like binge or like overeat or something like that,
It's a
are
very
you able
yeah,
to
it's very easy
recognize
to
it in the
recognize. And
moment or
like
is it something that
honestly, like
you
once my
are?
head's there, it's almost like I know this sounds weird, but it's almost like I don't have like I don't have control at all. Like and it's really hard to like take a step back and go no because it's almost like my mind has like already made up like the fact that I'm going to binge, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what is it that you do like during like so you recognize it, but then you're not able to stop it. So then afterwards, like is
To
there
be
something that you do
honest,
to
I
kind of like
feel like
reflect
total like
or
ass
step back
mentally
from it?
after, obviously. But the thing, what I do is I get up in the morning, I go, okay, I'm not gonna like dwell on it. Like I'm gonna get up, stick to my plan, and keep moving forward because like that's all you're gonna do. All I can do. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's great. So I definitely like, and I think that like as women, and this is like competitors or not, like there's all these crazy diets. Like
Oh
I don't know if
yeah.
you've heard them before, but like juice dieting or like
Mhm.
water fasting for 28 days or like all this kind of stuff. And some people can make that lifestyle work if they make it a lifestyle, like these faster juices
Mhm.
or whatever, but most people can't because it's so extreme that it ends up causing like that propensity to want to binge, or there's like certain things that occur in our life as trauma that actually make us want to do those things as well. So um like I've definitely, even after shows and stuff like that, have had that issue before. And I think I totally just like these extreme diets. I totally agree. And I think like the thing that I noticed or recognized in myself was like the first thing was recognizing like in the moment that I had the urge to do that. And then um like just being aware of that, and then
Yeah.
eventually being able to move on and be like, okay, I'm not going to do this and I'm going to do something else instead, or like journaling, or going for a walk, or like keeping busy and stuff like that. So I think that's the first step. And then like what you said afterwards, like if that were to happen, and you go off your plan, or you make a wrong turn, or you have a hiccup, you move forward from it, and you're not stuck into the moment and saying like,
Mhm.
kind of like, you don't want to
You
like
don't
be
want to like
stuck into the
sit in
moment where you dig
shame.
yourself in a
Like
hole and you bash
no.
yourself about
Yeah.
it, because that actually doesn't help. Yeah. So I like
Mhm.
hear you and what you're saying, and still something that you're like working through.
Yeah.
But to me,
Yeah.
at
It's
least, it
definitely
seems like
gotten a lot
you're
better
going in the right
than it
direction.
was. So
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
know
for
have
sure.
you heard of like other competitors also having that issue before? So you're
So
studying
I'm
in
studying
school,
physical
and
education, so I
what's
want to
like your end
be a
goal?
high school gym teacher. So that's the goal. Make sure your eyebrows are.
That's awesome. Did you
What
see
about
that? I
mine?
saw it.
No.
Yours actually really do look good. I don't know. Do you get them microbladed or no? It's just
Um,
natural like that.
like all of high
What
school.
grade do you want to teach?
Yeah.
So no particular, any,
Volleyball.
because you did hockey and you
Hmm.
did soccer, and then what was your other sport? Volleyball.
I would love to
Are
coach
you
like
looking
the
to like
girls
do
soccer
more of those
team.
sports in terms of coaching
So
too, or no?
that'd be really cool to do, but yeah.
And
Um,
then anything else that
looking
you're
forward
looking
to.
forward
Honestly, I'm
to?
just really looking forward to doing this show. I'm so excited. It's coming.
Yeah. What are
Um,
you most What are you
Honestly,
most
just being
excited
there is gonna be
about?
really cool because I've never been to like that big of show before, and just like there's gonna be so many like cool people there. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch the pros on Saturday too. That'll be super cool.
I've been to the Arnold twice, and I just like watched. I never competed there. And then yeah, the pros, watching them on stage, it's really cool.
Hmm.
At least at the time when I went, like you could get pretty good seats, because for prejudging, at least, not the main show, but for prejudging, you could get really
Yeah.
good seats, and like that's when the decisions are made. So it was kind of cool to like see the background of that. And it's such a big event, and there's so many different things going on. It's so much fun, and you get to meet so many people. So I'm so excited for you. I will not be there this year, but you're gonna have a blast. Are
I'm not.
Are you currently working with any companies or sponsored by any companies? Is that something
Yeah, that would
that you
be
want to
cool.
go
Yeah.
forward with, or is that something you're just like not interested in? Mhm.
Um,
And any like particular brands or
I don't
anything
know,
like that?
honestly. Are you with any companies?
No, I was with a couple companies, but when I started traveling and stuff like that, plug her in, Rachel. Yeah. Any companies want to sponsor Izzy, hit her up. Okay, the suit, the meal plans, everything. I was with a supplement company and I with like also like a pre-workout company too. Um, but when I started traveling, I was like really into the contracts that I was doing and just wasn't like
Okay.
dedicating the time that I needed to. So I ended up just kind of stepping back from that. And then I also at the time was kind of in a place where I wasn't sure if I was going to compete again. So it just didn't really make
When was that that
sense
you
to me
didn't?
at that time to keep going with it. But that was back in 2020. So when COVID happened, I was getting ready for a show and then COVID hit. And then I was like recruited for a contract that I did um, in Florida. So I was the medical director for the WNBA in 2020 and did their season there. And I just like, I don't know if you remember this. This was like when the bubbles were happening. I don't know if you're aware. Like they like basically made these bubbles, and actually hockey had one too, which I got to see. I got to see women's hockey, like professional women's hockey game at Madison Square Garden because there
Oh,
was
interesting.
like,
That's
you
so
know,
cool.
they had like their own bubble and stuff like that, which was pretty interesting. Yeah, so when you said hockey, I mean, I love women's hockey. I think women's hockey is like the epitome of like badassness. Like so freaking hardcore amazing. I just absolutely, I'm like, I'm a fan. Like, I think women's sports in general is really amazing, but I think that women's hockey is something that people are like, is there even women's hockey? Like, no one actually even really knows. And I'm like, no, there's like, there really is like women's hockey. And like, and I've seen like a game before. So, and I think just that experience, like, Billie Jean King was there and she gave this amazing speech there. And it was just so inspiring. Like one of my best memories I can think about. And so like I think women's hockey, because of that reason, was just like very memorable for me. But anyway, so they did all these bubbles and essentially like you were in a bubble and like you couldn't do anything outside. Like you couldn't go to the grocery store, you couldn't travel, you couldn't like be outside these bubbles. And so I was part of a few bubbles and they you were on call 24/7 essentially. So I worked all the time and I would just like was at the time like getting into the gym maybe like 2 or 3 times a week and that was it. And
Yeah.
most of the time it was like interrupted and so then I'd have to like go back to work. So I kind of dropped the sponsors because of that. I just didn't feel like I was dedicating the time I needed to be like, you know, fully committed and authentic to it. So that was that awesome.
I used to
Are
work
you
at
training
Panda
anyone now or
Express,
what is it that
so
you do?
that's my job.
Amazing. I did not know that. How do you resist like I mean I would think I've never been a fan of Panda Express, but I would think that it would be hard to like
The
resist
food
the
doesn't
smells
look
or
very
something
good,
like that just to
so
like even
yeah,
snack or
it's not
whatever.
appealing to me, so it's fine.
So it just like totally turns you off to it. Is there like something that you like is like your go-to meal
Like
that
my
you're
prep
like I
meals,
absolutely
or
love
like
this. This
just
is
like in,
my
if I
favorite
can
beyond
have
anything else.
anything. Um,
Yeah, like your
I would
refeeds or
say
like if you could
chocolate and
have
peanut butter are
anything.
like my favorite things on earth. No, I
So
had Sour Patch Kids
Reese's, is that your
last
comfort
time,
food or
but
no?
yeah. But yeah, anything peanut butter
Just
chocolate or like peanut
sugar.
butter chocolate ice cream,
Um,
so good.
my friend
Mhm.
does OCB, so she does like the natural bodybuilding
Oh,
division,
really?
and she does Mountain
That's
Dew.
really good. What's
I was like,
your
I've
like
never heard of
favorite
anyone doing that
go-to?
before, but I guess it makes sense. I I don't really have like a good one. I usually honestly just keep it simple to like honey and like rice. Like I keep it straightforward. I think that's like another thing that if you get like too focused on what's going on with like the certain types of
Yeah.
foods or too concentrated on what kind of foods you can have before the show or after the show,
Hmm.
it ends up like distracting from like what you're actually there for and like your focus. So um, I know like that was kind of a thing that I learned when I started competing early on was that there would be all these girls or like all these people who would be really super focused on like, oh, I made this like triple chocolate whatever thing, or I made this like these cookies or these massive ice cream cookies or whatever. And like, I think those are the people that struggled the hardest with like binging eating after a show. And so if you like stop focusing on that and making that like so high on a pedestal, then it's just like the
Yeah.
value in it like just kind of goes down and then you're able to it's just not as important to you anymore. And so then it's not as big of a deal. At least that's kind of what I found. That was like one of the things that helped me the most. So like when people after a show, like if there's a bunch of girls like crowding around, like, you know, a plate full of cookies and stuff like that, like I'm like,
Yeah, with like
this,
people
yeah, I'd
that you
rather
care
go to a
about, not
restaurant
just
and
like
actually enjoy a
shove your
meal than
face
at
after,
to a
like right
clinic
after show.
with people. Yeah, and like enjoy it with family and
No,
everything like that.
but they come
Does
to
your family
support
compete or
every
anything?
show. Yeah.
Good.
No,
That's
I'm from
awesome.
Wisconsin, so
They're in
they're in
Arizona too, or
Wisconsin,
where are they
but
at?
like mid central. It's
What
called Medford.
part of
Nobody
Wisconsin?
really knows where it is because it's like this small little farm town in the middle of nowhere. But, but yeah, no, it's just yeah,
Did you
a lot of people
actually live on a
farm
farm or
right
no?
where we're from. So, oh really?
Because I'm from
Cool.
Chicago. Yeah. Which also proves my point that I like wherever I travel, I always tend to connect with people from the Midwest. And I have a theory that it's not actually like you attract the people that you like kind of grew up around in terms of regions. And it's not anything to do with like them as a person or someone else as a person.
Mhm.
It's like these behavioral like things that we've learned growing up in a certain area that we recognize in other people and that we just kind of are like attracted to. We're just like, oh yeah, you don't even know it. Like you don't even do it. Like you're not thinking about it, but like subconsciously you're like you kind of gravitate towards those people who have similar just mannerisms and behaviors. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to like this person. Well, is there any way that people could contact you in case they were
My
interested
DMs
in
are
working
always
with
open.
you or getting to know more about you? Don't say that too loud. There's going to be people coming from left and right. But I definitely encourage anyone who is joining to follow Izzy because her journey is really exciting. And I think that you competing at the Arnold is going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited to see you on that stage. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I had for today.